Heartwarming act. Boy's amazing sacrifice of dinner for elderly couple revealed life-changing friendship unfolds. In the heart of a quiet Ohio suburb, a young boy named Jake embodied the spirit of unyielding kindness. Barely 12, he faced countless challenges at home, his father out of work and his mother clocking endless double shifts at the local diner. But amidst this storm, his heart beat fiercely for Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, the aging couple living next door, who had recently fallen on hard times. With every snatch of laughter and every sigh from their worn faces, Jake felt a tug deep within, a longing to give back to those who had given so much in years past. Every Wednesday night, like clockwork, Jake would sneak into the kitchen, a cramped space that only contained a few pans and a dwindling supply of ingredients. Using his meager allowance, he prepared a warm dinner for the Thompsons: fluffy mashed potatoes, tender meatloaf, and a slice of pie for dessert. With each meal, he hoped to hear their stories filled with love, loss, and the essence of life itself. Those moments felt like sunshine in his cloudy world. But as whispers of his kindness began to ripple through the school corridors, sharp knives of judgment sank into him. Classmates questioned his softness, tossing about words that stung. Too nice. Yes, forgetting his own family, the conflict grew fierce within him. His parents, struggling every day, needed him, yet Mr. and Mrs. Thompson filled his heart with a profound connection that felt irreplaceable. Torn and overwhelmed, Jake was caught in a whirlpool of loyalty and friendship. One fateful winter night, the wind howled violently, and the snowstorm swept through their town like a ghost. Caught in the grip of uncertainty, Jake felt the icy chains of doubt wrap around his heart. Should he stay home, huddled by the fire with his family, or break free and check on the Thompsons? His mind raced like the swirling snow, until his fingers brushed against a decades-old letter hidden in the Thompsons' mailbox. The faded ink was a testament to their sacrifices during the war, the love woven through their struggles screaming louder than the storm outside. With a flicker of resolve igniting within him, he bundled up in layers of mismatched clothing, his determination warming him against the biting cold. Battling the gusts, he wound his way toward the Thompsons' home, clutching the basket of dinner tightly against his chest. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let us continue. As Jake trudged through the thick snow, he could hardly contain the swirling emotions inside him. Would his act of kindness truly matter? Would sharing dinner lead to something greater, something that could heal beyond the age of his heart? The door creaked open, and the tears of gratitude that spilled from Mrs. Thompson's eyes flooded Jake's heart with warmth. They exchanged stories of resilience, both old and new, layering moments of joy over their shared struggles. But then, just as Jake was about to lose himself in their world of kindness and history, a knock shattered the moment. A familiar face from school appeared, lurking with intent and possibilities that could disrupt everything. Outside, the storm roared, and inside, Jake stood on the threshold of a life-changing decision. Would he let judgment define him, or would he rise above, forging ahead with the warmth of the community he so desperately wanted to embrace? The door swung wider, revealing Kyle, a boy who often led the pack back at school. His expression was a mix of curiosity and mischief. The laughter and warmth in the room shrank as he stepped in, shaking off snow from his boots. Jake felt a chill seep into the cozy atmosphere he had worked to create. "Hey, Thompson," Kyle called, his eyes darting between the steaming food and Jake's anxious face. "What were you doing here? Playing house with Grandma and Grandpa?" The words dripped with a condescending edge that made Jake's stomach churn. Mrs. Thompson stepped forward, her eyes narrowing. "We're enjoying a lovely dinner, thank you very much." There was a bite to her tone that Jake admired, but Kyle was unfazed. "Not sure that's cool, man." He crossed his arms, the snow melting in rapid drops on the floor. "Shouldn't you be with your family?" Those two aren't your responsibility. Jake's heart raced, a flutter of anger mixing with the embarrassment creeping up his cheeks. In that instant, the affection he felt for the Thompsons clashed against the judgment of his peers. He felt small and vulnerable, swirling between his history with Mr. and Mrs. Thompson and the pressure pressing down from Kyle and others. "I want to help them," he said, his voice cracking slightly. Kyle raised an eyebrow, disbelief etched on his face. "Help them? By playing chef? What a joke. Why not focus on your own family for once? They need you too." Jake struggled to meet Kyle's gaze. The wind howled outside, louder than Jake's inner turmoil. "Because they've given me so much," he whispered, almost to himself, but Kyle caught it. "Like what? Stories? Are stories going to pay your bills?" Kyle laughed harshly, and Jake felt the warmth within him starting to dim. But behind him, a soft voice broke through. "Jake is doing something meaningful," Mr. Thompson stated, summoning all the strength of a man who had seen the toughest days long before Jake was born. "He is showing us a kindness that's rare these days. Loyalty, friendship, these are the treasures of life." Instantly, the atmosphere thickened with an electric tension. Kyle opened his mouth to retort, but something in Mr. Thompson's earnest eyes held him back, if only for a moment. Jake's heart swelled at hearing Mr. Thompson's words. The warmth they brought felt like a protective shield against Kyle's criticisms. "I don't care what anyone else thinks," he declared, his voice steadying with each syllable. "I want to take care of them." Kyle rolled his eyes, but Jake sensed a moment of hesitation, a flicker of uncertainty that lingered between them. "Well, good luck with that, then. Enjoy your dinner." With a shrug, Kyle turned and made his way back into the flurry outside. As the door shut behind him, silence enveloped the room, heavy with unspoken thoughts. Jake's heart pounded, but he felt liberated at the same time. His relationship with Mr. and Mrs. Thompson had deep roots that no one could sever. "Thank you," he managed, glancing between the Thompsons and feeling the weight of what had just transpired. "For standing up for me." Mrs. Thompson smiled, her eyes warm again. "We would do anything for you, Jake." They resumed their dinner, laughter slowly cresting back as memories were shared anew, the air rich with the aroma of food and stories. But as moments slipped by, a nagging thought nagged at Jake. Had Kyle truly left for good? Would he come back, angrier, ready to confront this moment again? With that thought lingering, Jake glanced up. The storm outside raged on, but he felt a sense of anticipation pull at him. Challenges loomed ahead, and he wasn't sure just how far he would have to go to defend what was right. As light from the window flickered across their small gathering, another knock echoed through the house. Each heartbeat felt heavier. Would he have to confront more doubt, or could a new opportunity be waiting just outside that door? Jake held his breath, the sound of the knock reverberating in his chest. The warm glow of the dining room felt worlds away from the chilly, relentless storm outside. He shared a glance with Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, their expressions shifting from joy to concern in an instant. "Who could that be?" Mrs. Thompson whispered, her brow furrowing. "I'll go check," Jake said, almost automatically. He didn't want to be a coward. This was his home. His heart raced as he made his way to the door, each step dragging heavier than the last. Uncertainty loomed. Turning the knob, he hesitated before pulling the door open, letting the stormy wind gust in with a rush. The sudden chill sent a shiver down his spine, but what met his eyes was something unexpected. Standing on the porch was a girl, bundled tightly in a bright red coat, her cheeks flushed from the cold. Jake blinked, unsure of who she was. Her dark hair fluttered wildly with the wind. "Hi," she greeted, a little breathless. "I'm Mia. I was passing by and saw you through the window." Jake instinctively looked over his shoulder. Everything told him it was strange to have someone show up unexpectedly, but curiosity grabbed hold of him. "You're alone?" "Just for a bit," she said, her smile warm despite the frigid air. "I live down the street. My friends and I were out making snow angels when I saw your lights. Can I come in?" "I didn't mean to interrupt." Jake felt a tug at his heart. Sure, of course. He stepped aside, motioning for her to enter. She walked in, shaking off snow from her boots as he closed the door behind her. Mia glanced around, her eyes lighting up at the sight of the dining table set for dinner. Wow, it smells incredible in here. Are you having a feast? It's just dinner, Jake said, brushing off the compliment. We were about to sit down. Mrs. Thompson bustled into view, her brow lifting in surprise. Oh, hello there. We'd love to have you join us, if you're not in a hurry, dear. Mia's expression brightened, and she nodded eagerly. I'd love that. As they gathered around the table, laughter quickly returned. Stories flowed like the syrup that Mrs. Thompson drizzled over the pancakes she made. Jake felt the tension that had been building inside him ease a little as they welcomed Mia into their circle. She shared tales of her snow adventures, and for a moment, the world beyond the window faded away. But beneath the laughter, Jake's thoughts lingered on Kyle. Would he see Mia at school? Would she tell anyone about how he stood up to the bully? The worry felt like a dark cloud lingering over an otherwise perfect evening. Suddenly, Mia leaned in, her expression curious. Hey, what's going on between you and that Kyle guy? He seemed, well, a little nasty. Jake's heart raced again. He hadn't realized how closely she'd been paying attention. How did he explain? He's just a jerk sometimes, he finally said, avoiding the deeper issues. He doesn't get what it's like, Mrs. Thompson interrupted, shooting Jake a knowing look. You get to choose how to respond to people, dear. Don't allow someone else's negativity take away your kindness. Mia nodded, her eyes compassionate. You should stand tall, you know? It takes courage to help others. Jake felt a swell of pride and gratitude. How strange was it that a stranger could inspire him in such a way? As dinner finished, Mia helped clean up, and they exchanged stories and laughter. But just as the last plate was cleared, the door swung open again, and this time, Kyle's face peeked through, drawn tight with indignation. Jake's heart raced anew. What was Kyle here for this time? Was he ready for another round? As he glanced at the Thompsons, their expressions spoke an unshared resolve. The storm outside roared, but within these walls, it was a different kind of storm brewing. Would Kyle's next move tear them apart, or somehow bring them closer together? Jake stood frozen by the door, heart pounding in his chest. The sight of Kyle was like a dark cloud rolling in, threatening to overshadow the warmth that had just filled the house. He could feel the scribbled tension in the air as Mia stood beside him. Kyle stepped inside, shivering, but his eyes blazed with determination. What's going on in here? He demanded, scanning the cozy scene and landing on Mia. Did you steal someone's dinner invitation, or what? Whoa, chill out. Jake shot back, feeling a brave surge in the face of Kyle's hostility. Mia's just having dinner with us. Mrs. Thompson placed a calming hand on Jake's arm, something about her touch making him feel steadier. Perhaps you'd like to join us, Kyle? She offered with a sweetness that bordered on challenge. The bully scoffed at the suggestion, rolling his eyes. No thanks. I wouldn't want to ruin your little snow party. Stop it, Kyle, Mia piped up, her voice surprisingly steady. You don't have to be this way. We're just having fun, and it's nice. There's enough room at the table for everyone, you know? Jake was taken aback. He hadn't expected Mia to stand up to Kyle, and the way she looked directly at him spoke volumes. There was strength, courage, a will to challenge the storm. Kyle's lip curled, and in that instant, Jake felt the old cycle of bullying return, a fear that Kyle would lash out, that he might be embarrassed in front of Mia, and that maybe he wasn't strong enough to face this. But then a wave of inspiration hit him. The very thing Mia had spoken about, standing tall. He squared his shoulders, feeling the heat of conviction burning within. I'm not afraid of you, Kyle. I've got better things to do than let you ruin this night. The surprise flashed in Kyle's eyes, momentarily dimming the anger. The room felt charged, a balance wavering between desperation and resolve. You're going to regret saying that, Jake, Kyle spat, but there was a crack in his bravado. Jake took a step toward him. You don't have to do this, Kyle. You can choose to join us, to have a normal night. Or you can keep being the bully. But we're not going to budge. For a moment, the weight of those words hung in the air. Mia had turned her eyes to him, her expression brightening with hope. But jealousy flickered in Kyle's features, and it sent a chill down Jake's spine. Whatever, Kyle muttered, stepping back toward the door. It was as if he was wrestling with a decision. The moment stretched thin like ice about to crack. Jake's heart raced, wishing more than anything for peace to settle back into the dining room. Just as Kyle turned to leave, he hesitated. You guys think you're so special. Enjoy your dinner, he mumbled, and with that, he slammed the door behind him. Silence fell like snow around them. What just happened? Jake looked to his left, at Mia, who was staring wide-eyed as if she couldn't quite believe it either. Mrs. Thompson broke the tension first, stepping away from the table to check on the door. Well, that was unexpected. Mr. Thompson nodded, appreciation shimmering in his gaze. You stood your ground, Jake. That takes bravery. But Mia's lips curled into a grin. And I didn't realize you had all that courage inside you either. Jake felt a flush of pride, a blend of relief and disbelief. Yet, even with the victorious moment, that nagging worry crept back. What if Kyle decided to hit back harder? The atmosphere felt lighter, laughter bubbling soon enough around them, but beneath it lay an undercurrent, a sense that things were changing, shifting, evolving in ways he couldn't control. As the evening continued, Jake sensed that something bigger was unfolding within himself, leaving him with a pressing question: what would the next encounter with Kyle hold? With that thought lingering, the snow continued to fall outside, cloaking their world in uncertainty. But within that warmth of companionship, courage began to take root. What would it transform into next? Jake's heart beat rhythmically as laughter from the dining room filled the air. It was a cozy space, the scent of roasted chicken mixing with the faint, sweet smell of the cookies Mrs. Thompson had just baked. But even as he shared smiles and jokes with Mia, a shadow lurked just outside, a shadow named Kyle. What if he comes back? Jake whispered to Mia as she pushed away her empty plate. Her eyes sparkled, the light catching her dark curls, but concern flickered in their depths. He might. But you know what? You handled him. You stood up to him, and that's worth celebrating, she replied, her tone bright. Yet beneath her cheerful facade, Jake could sense her apprehension. As the evening pressed on, Jake's thoughts bounced back to Kyle. His words echoed in his mind, leaving a taste of unease. Regret is what Kyle would feel, or maybe he would come back angry. Jake pushed the thought aside, focusing on the warmth surrounding him instead. He could still hear Mr. Thompson's hearty laughter as he shared his latest fishing tale, and it comforted him. But there was still that nagging worry: was this truly over? If only he could unravel the mystery behind Kyle's behavior. The time spent with Mia soothed the edges of his fear. They were starting to build something real. Mrs. Thompson came back into the room, setting a fresh batch of cookies on the table. She glanced at Jake and asked, "Everything okay?" "Yeah, all good," he replied, not fully convinced. Mia caught his gaze and smiled softly, the whole world brightening as her cheeks dimpled. In that moment, he felt brave again. "Jake, can I ask you something?" Mia began, her tone shifting from light to serious. "Sure," he said, bracing himself as he thought about her words. "Why do you think Kyle is like that? Why is he always so angry?" Her question pierced through him, stirring up a deep-rooted frustration. "I don't know. It's like he wants to make everyone else miserable to feel better about himself. But it's tiring. The world doesn't have to be cruel." Mia nodded slowly, a contemplative look crossing her face. "It must be hard for him too. Maybe he is struggling in ways we don't see." "Hard for him? That doesn't excuse what he did." Jake felt a surge of anger rising in him but quickly tempered it down. "I get it. It's hard to see past the bullying. But what if part of him is just looking for help?" Their conversation hung in the air, the tension crackling like the fireplace flames. Was Mia right? Jake was uncertain how to feel about the idea of empathy for his bully. The thought tangled in his mind, fighting against his instinct to keep his distance. Suddenly, a loud bang rattled the door, followed by the unmistakable sound of heavy boots stomping in the snow. Jake's stomach dropped. Could that be Kyle? Stay here, he said to Mia, his voice dropping to a whisper. He moved quietly toward the window, peeking between the curtains. The snow swirled in the wind, but beyond it, he could see a figure looming outside. His heart raced. He couldn't make out the face, but there was something familiar about the stance. Just as he turned back to the group, the door swung open again, and Kyle stepped inside, snow sloughing off his jacket. Jake's mind raced. What did he want this time? Mia's hand gripped Jake's wrist tight. What is he doing? The answer felt like an impending storm. Would Kyle lash out again? Or had something changed? Jake took a deep breath, ready to face whatever came next. With determination swelling inside him, "Let us find out," he whispered. The moment held its breath, a fragile balance of uncertainty hanging in the frozen air. Whatever happened next would be a turning point, he could feel it in his bones. Would he find a way to break through to Kyle, or would it all come crashing down? Kyle stepped further into the warmth of the house, the door closing behind him with an unsettling thud. His presence soaked up the light, making the laughter and chatter around the table fade into an uncomfortable silence. Jake felt Mia's grip tighten around his wrist, a solid anchor as tension filled the air. What do you want, Kyle? Jake's voice shot out, steadier than he felt. Every word was a challenge, a barrier ready to hold back whatever storm Kyle had unleashed upon them before. Just wanted to talk, Kyle replied, his tone defensive yet deflated. He looked uncharacteristically worn, his shoulders slumped almost as if the weight of the world pressed down on him. Mia slid closer to Jake, her curiosity piqued. Talk about what? She inquired, her voice barely above a whisper, yet it echoed in the heavy atmosphere. Kyle hesitated, glancing between Jake and the warm glow of the living room, the inviting table filled with food, laughter, and good company. I messed up, he said, his voice breaking slightly, which made Jake's chest tighten. Pity and anger tangled into a hard ball. Yeah, you did. You hurt people, Jake countered, unable to hide the bitterness in his tone. He felt every ounce of anger bubbling up, fighting against the flicker of empathy Mia's words had ignited earlier. I know, Kyle snapped, a flicker of anger sparking in his eyes before he deflated once more, shoulders slumping. That's why I came here. I wanted to say I'm sorry. The word hung in the air, heavy and almost foreign. A genuine apology from Kyle? Jake didn't know how to react. He didn't trust it, couldn't trust it. Mia, however, seemed to sense something else beneath Kyle's tough exterior. You're sorry, really? She pressed gently, her voice softening the tension in the room. He nodded, still searching for the right way to voice the tangled knot of feelings within him. I just thought if I made others feel small, it would make me feel better. But it just made things worse. The confession slipped out, raw and unrefined. Jake felt a twist in his heart. That's not an excuse, Kyle. You've made people miserable. You can't just erase that with a few words. I know, Kyle replied, desperation creeping into his voice. I want to change. And I thought maybe talking to you would be a start. I'm tired of being that person. A flicker of hope stirred within Jake. Could he really let go of all the hurt? But what if it was just another manipulation? I don't know if that's enough, Jake said, voice steady but still unsure. He felt the uncertainty thrumming in his chest. He couldn't decide if he wanted to help or walk away. Please, Kyle whispered, this time his eyes glimmering with vulnerability. You don't have to accept it. Just think about it. The room remained quiet, a charged moment where choices weighed heavily. Jake looked at Kyle, searching for truth in his expression. Time slowed, each heartbeat echoing as Mia's hand squeezed his wrist, grounding him. What if Jake chose to open his heart a little, just to test this new avenue? But that nagging doubt kept pulling him back. Kyle took a step towards the door. I'll give you space. Just remember I'm trying, okay? With that, he turned and walked out into the snowy night, leaving a wake of uncertainty behind him. Jake felt an urge to call him back, to ask more questions, yet something held him back. The door clicked shut, sealing away the warmth from moments before. Did he mean it? Mia asked, reading Jake's turmoil. I don't know, he replied, his heart heavy. What if he chose to confront the past in a new light, only to get burned again? Jake knew then this wasn't over. Something had shifted, but whether it would lead to healing or to more heartache remained to be seen. He could feel the questions swirling like snowflakes around him, each one landing heavier than the last. Would he be brave enough to open that door to Kyle again? What would happen if he did? Jake stood frozen in the dim light of the living room, thoughts swirling in chaos. Kyle's parting words echoed in his mind, tugging at the remnants of his resolve. It wasn't just Kyle's apology that unsettled him. It was the unfamiliar feeling of uncertainty wrapped in hope. He glanced back at the table where laughter had flourished just moments ago, a stark contrast to the weight that hung in the air now. Are you okay? Mia's voice cut through his spiral, soft yet probing. She looked at him with those deep, concerned eyes, ready to catch him if he fell. Yeah, he managed, though unease draped over him like a thick blanket. I don't know what to think. Maybe give him a chance? She suggested, her voice barely above a whisper, as if Kyle might overhear from the snowy night outside. People can change, Jake. Sometimes they just need someone to show them how. The warmth of her hand around his wrist sent a jolt of comfort through him. He wanted to believe that change was possible, that the scars Kyle had left behind could be healed. But how? The weights of past wounds and their lingering pain made the thought feel like a betrayal. What if he's just playing us again? Jake countered, frustration boiling just beneath the surface. What if this is just him looking for another way to hurt us? I don't have all the answers, Mia said, squeezing his hand tighter, but you can't let fear decide for you. Sometimes vulnerability takes courage, and it's okay to be scared. Jake leaned back, taking a moment to breathe. Mia's presence was soothing, a soft reminder that they weren't alone. What if I open that door and it slams shut again? I'm not sure I can handle being hurt again. Well, Mia said, her eyes sparkling with determination, that's the thing. Life isn't about avoiding hurt. It's about deciding what matters enough to fight for. As her words sank in, Jake felt something shift within him. It was scary but also liberating. He had spent so long building barriers, convinced they were protecting him from the storms of life. But maybe it was time to let some of that rain in. With an exhale, he straightened up, looking at the closed door. Maybe I'll reach out to him, he said cautiously, the words tasting foreign on his tongue. But I need your help to do it. Mia's face lit up with a smile, one that swept away the tension hanging in the air and filled it with a lightness that made Jake's heart lift. Of course. We can figure it out together. As they made plans to find Kyle tomorrow, the gnawing doubt inside Jake began to fade, replaced by a small spark of hope. Could this really be a turning point for both him and Kyle? Night wrapped around the house like a blanket, but there was a sense of possibility blooming in the chill. Jake lay in bed, images of their past wrestling with dreams of a different future. Tomorrow, he whispered to the dark, maybe tomorrow will hold something different. Just then, a text pinged on his phone, jolting him from his thoughts. It was from Kyle. Jake hesitated, pulse quickening. What new twist awaited him behind those few words? Jake stared at the screen, anxiety coiling tightly in his chest. Finally, he steadied his trembling fingers and opened the message. Just 3 simple words reflected back at him. Can we talk? His heart raced, a mix of fear and anticipation flooding his senses. It was a request that could mean anything. He wanted to respond right away, but doubt resurfaced, clouding his thoughts. Did Kyle really want to change, or was this just another game? Mia peeked over his shoulder at the message and read it aloud, her brow furrowing slightly. What do you think he means? I don't know, Jake replied, trying to keep his voice steady. But it sounds serious. Maybe it is, she said softly, sensing his unease. You told me you were willing to try. Just do what feels right. Taking a deep breath, Jake typed back, when and where? He hit send before he could second-guess himself. The seconds felt like hours as he awaited a reply. Finally, his phone buzzed, and Kyle responded, "Can you meet at the old park? 3 p.m.? Jake's breath caught in his throat. The old park. Memories flooded back, summers spent laughing and playing, secrets shared under the sprawling oak tree. He felt a surge of nostalgia mixed with dread. What if that place, where everything seemed so innocent and fun, now became the best and worst reminder of their past? "Jake?" Mia's voice was gentle, breaking through his thoughts. "Are you okay?" "Why, yeah." He tried to sound light-hearted, but it came out strained. "I just need to figure out how to do this." Mia placed her hand on his shoulder, offering a quiet strength. "You've got this. Remember, you're not alone." They spent the rest of the night preparing, discussing what Jake might say. As the dawn broke through the darkness, a strange calm settled over him. When the clock struck 3 that afternoon, Jake found himself standing at the park entrance, a mix of anxiety and eagerness swirling within. The sight of the familiar path paved with gravel brought back a rush of childhood memories, and for a fleeting moment, he felt like he was stepping into the past. As he walked toward the oak tree, he spotted Kyle sitting on a bench, hands clasped tightly together, uncertainty etched across his face. "Hey," Jake said, the word escaping him in a nervous whisper. Kyle looked up. His eyes held a vulnerability Jake had never seen before. "Thanks for coming. What do you want to talk about?" Jake asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "It's about us, everything that happened, and why I've been gone." Kyle paused, biting his lip, his expression a mix of regret and determination. "I know I messed up, but I want to make things right." Jake felt his heart race again, but this time it wasn't just fear, it was a cautious flicker of hope. "How do you plan to do that?" "I've been working on myself, but I need your help." Jake's breath caught in his throat. Could they really face the past together? As Kyle spoke, pouring out his feelings, Jake felt walls beginning to crumble. But just as hope surged, Mia suddenly appeared behind him, her expression a mix of concern and curiosity. "What's going on?" The tension in the air thickened as Jake shot a glance at Kyle, who seemed equally surprised. Jake faced a moment that could alter everything. What truth would emerge, and how would it reshape their fragile connection? His heart pounded as he prepared to navigate this watershed moment. Would Jake embrace the risk of rekindling their past, or would fear hold him back once again? Jake's heart pounded in his chest as he weighed the situation before him. Mia's sudden arrival felt like a storm unsettling the fragile peace he and Kyle had begun to build. The warmth of nostalgia clashed with the chill of uncertainty hanging in the air, making it hard for him to think clearly. "What's going on?" Mia pressed again, her eyes darting between them, searching for clarity. We were just," Jake stumbled over his words, unsure of where to start. He glanced at Kyle, who met his gaze with an intensity that begged for understanding. Kyle took a breath, the moment becoming palpable between them. "Honesty," he said, his voice steady now, "is why I'm here. I need to own up, to tell you everything. It's important." Jake nodded slightly, but he could feel the tension rising. "Okay." Mia stepped back, trying to read the room. It wasn't just about Jake and Kyle anymore, it felt like they needed to protect something delicate. "I can wait," she reassured him gently. "Take your time." Jake felt a wave of gratitude wash over him for Mia's presence. But he couldn't shake the worry gnawing at him. Would this conversation ruin everything? Or would it carve a path toward healing? Kyle's hands relaxed as he leaned forward, age timidity retreating. "I know I haven't given you any reason to trust me. I'm sorry for how things ended. I've done a lot of reflecting and I know I need to change." Jake's stomach churned. "Change how?" "By owning my past." Kyle paused, eyes locked on Jake's, as if trying to siphon hope from him. "I've been digging deep into why I push you away. I thought I was protecting myself, I thought isolating myself would make me stronger. But now, I see I just hurt everyone involved. Especially you." Jake felt a flicker of understanding ignite within, but fear held him back. "You had every chance to do things differently. Why now?" "Because the distance nearly wrecked me," Kyle replied, his voice trembling with sincerity. "I hate that I've hurt you. I want to fix it. I want us back in some way if you'll allow it. The weight of Kyle's words lingered, heavy and bittersweet. They stirred something inside Jake, a mixture of anger and longing, hope and concern. What if this was just another turn in the same cycle? He wanted to believe, wanted to feel that they could start over, but fear of another scar marked the boundaries of his heart. Mia watched quietly. She sensed the pivot at hand. Jake, she said softly, whatever you decide, you have to look after yourself first. A painful silence enveloped the park, punctuated by the rustle of leaves above them. Jake turned back towards Kyle. If we're doing this, it's not just on you. I need to be honest too. Kyle nodded slowly, as if he braced himself for the unseen backlash. I can take it. Can you handle the truth about how I feel? Jake asked, his voice barely rising above a whisper. Please, Kyle urged, genuine fear creeping back into his eyes. I need to hear it. Just as Jake prepared to unleash everything bottled up inside, an unexpected flash of movement caught his attention. An older couple strolled into the park, hand in hand, sharing laughter, their joy a stark contrast to the heartbreak around him. It stirred something deep in Jake. Could he really let hope back in? Something shifted in the air, a promise of renewal, or the dagger of despair. What if he took a leap? What if he chose the risk over the safety of solitude? But that playful couple held no scars. Their reality felt beyond his reach. Their laughter echoed in the distance, and Jake was left at the crossroads of trust and retreat. Would he dare to open up, or would fear keep him prisoner once again? As he gathered his thoughts, the moment hung precariously in behind them. Mia watched with bated breath, wishing for clarity in the tangled mess of emotions. What heart would win in this battle of vulnerability, the one of fear or the one of hope? Jake stood at the crossroads of fear and hope. The weight of Kyle's apologies still hung in the air, heavy and tangible. But as he glanced at the older couple strolling by hand in hand, their laughter and joy seemed to cut through the tension surrounding them. Could that kind of connection even be real in his chaotic world? Swallowing hard, Jake finally found his footing. Kyle, he began, his voice trembling slightly, I want to believe you. I really do. But the things you've done, they left scars. It's not easy to just forget. His heart raced, each word stretching the tightrope of their fragile reunion. Kyle nodded, understanding etched deeply in his features. I know it's going to be complicated, and I don't expect you to just forgive me right away. But I'm ready to change to build something better. It's not just about me anymore. I realize that now. Mia took a step closer, offering her silent support. Jake felt the warmth radiating from her presence, someone who believed in second chances. With a deep breath, he collected his thoughts. If we're going to move forward, we need to be honest with one another, like you said. I can't pretend it doesn't hurt. I can't wear that mask anymore. Yeah, Kyle whispered, eyes fixed on the ground, but Jake could see the determination shining through the shame. I'll do whatever it takes to earn your trust back. For a heartbeat, silence reigned as the words soaked in. Jake's heart beat with a rhythm of uncertainty, but beneath it was a stirring of something new. He thought about the Thompsons, the unconditional love they brought into his life. If they could open their hearts again and share stories of their youth, then maybe he could find a way, too. Okay, Jake said finally, meeting Kyle's eyes. I don't know how this will go, but let's start fresh. But promise me this isn't just words. I want to see action. No more hiding. He felt a weight lift as he chose vulnerability over anger. I promise, Kyle replied earnestly, sincerity pouring from his gaze. Let us take this step together, cause I know I can't do it alone. Mia's smile brightened the gloom that had settled. And I'm here too, she affirmed. We'll help each other. Together, there's strength in numbers, right? With that, an unspoken agreement formed, a pact that none of them were alone in their struggles. Stepping ahead toward old wounds meant embracing risks, but also the possibility of healing and connection. As they shared smiles, a flicker of hope ignited within Jake, a fire sparked by kindness and the promise of what was to come. Let us meet again tomorrow, Jake suggested, the anticipation bubbling within him. We can talk more. Maybe this time, we make it right. Tomorrow it is, Kyle agreed, a hint of mirth returning to his voice. As they walked out of the park together, Jake felt lighter. The old oak tree stood tall behind them, its gnarled branches swaying with the whisper of the wind. The clouds might still loom overhead, but he was no longer standing in the storm alone. In that moment, laughter echoed again, a sound of resilience, friendship, and second chances. And as they bid goodbye, the world before him felt full of potential. Tomorrow, they would continue this new journey together, ready to face whatever came next, and somewhere nearby, Mr. and Mrs. Thompson would be waiting with open arms and warm meals, ready to tidy the little things that made life worthwhile. It felt like the beginning all over again, a chance to transform pain into understanding, and uncertainty into bravery. Now it was time to embrace it. If you felt a spark of hope after this powerful transformation, now is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel. Don't miss out on exclusive stories filled with inspiration. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, and keep the stories flowing. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this heartfelt ending, because every word matters. And remember, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to spread the love. You are the backbone of our community, and together we can uplift each other.